So you probably clicked on this video because you want to read more in 2026. And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 of my top books of 2026 so far. And hopefully it will encourage you to maybe want to pick up these books, but encourage you in ways that would make you want to read more. And so I have these books right here with me. But before we dive into it, I'd love to just share a little bit about my journey with books. So in 2025, my goal was to read 30 books. And somehow, by the grace of God, at the end of that time, I was able to read all 30 books. So this year, instead of highly increasing it, I wasn't trying to get too lofty of a goal, but I decided, hey, I'm going to bump it from 30 books to 36 books. And so roughly that is about 3 books a month. Well, roughly, it's exactly 3 books a month. So you got 12 months in a year. If I read 3 books a month, I'll hit 36. And we are currently in April, and I believe I've read 14 books so far. So I am right on schedule to hit my goal. But here's the thing. The reason why I wanted to read more books was because readers are leaders. And I recognize that in my life, I am a pastor, I'm a husband, I'm a father. God has put me in positions where I'm called to lead other people. And so part of it was wanting to lead well, be faithful. That's what this whole channel is about, being found faithful as a steward of God. And part of that is leading well. And so in order to lead well, guess what I got to do? I got to read more. And I've read all different kinds of books. Here I have the physical copies of the books, but I have been doing audiobooks on, Spotify or on Audible. I have a Kindle, and it's over here. Right here, my Kindle that I read ebooks on. I also have my iPad, which I'm using for my notes right here, or sometimes I'll even read on my phone. And then of course I have physical books. And so the way that I've increased the amount of books that I've read more has been through not just a variety of different books, like genres, but also through different modes. And so what I wanted to do in this video is just share with you 3 of my top books. And I have 3 specific reasons why they have risen to the top and why I also believe they're going to help you read more books in 2026. So let's get going. Here are my top 3 so far. And this is the first one. This is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Now, what's interesting about this book is that I actually wanted to get into Brandon Sanderson because of a recommendation from several of my friends who have read his works. Now, they're way ahead of me. They've read books like the Stormlight Archive. They've read the Mistborn series. They've read the novellas and all those things. And so my wife was going to this bookstore opening of some friends of ours who they opened up a bookstore in Mansfield, Texas. Shout out to Same Page Bookshop, to Bailey and Becca and Kate. And interestingly enough, I sent my wife to go, she went to the opening day, and I asked her, I said, hey, can you go get me a book by Brandon Sanderson? Now in my mind, I'm thinking Mistborn or one of the Stormlight Archives. I just said, just surprise me. Now here's the thing. Maybe they just didn't carry it. I'm not sure. I haven't been yet to the bookshop. But she came back with this book. But what she did was she said, hey, this was highly recommended by Kate, and said she loved it. And she said that I would love it. Now here's the thing. I also know, sometimes what people like isn't what I like. And so I was doubtful. Would I really like this? It seems a little girly. But here is the beauty of it, man. I read this thing and I honestly immediately fell in love. The chapters are like 3, 4, 5 pages sometimes. And what it did was it became a page turner for me. It's so whimsical, so light, so easy to just get through a chapter where I read one chapter, I have time to read two more, and I've sped through this whole entire book. And so for me, I wanted to read more. Well, how do I read more? Well, I need to read more of what I like. And what I discovered was I really like fantasy. I really like books that put me into another world. And so an encouragement for you, if you want to read more books in the year 2026, pick up a book that you're actually gonna like. And here's a opposite tip of that, I guess, or just like on the other side of that, is if you don't like the book, it's okay to put it down. It's okay to stop reading, and it's okay to put it on the didn't finish. You know, I'm on Goodreads, and in Goodreads, you can literally mark the book and put it somewhere where you say, hey, I tried it, not for me, maybe in this season of life, and you can choose not to finish the book. So if you want to read more, pick up something you're going to enjoy. And honestly, just as it was recommended to me, I recommend this book to you. If you like fantasy, if you like magic and systems, if you like something that's just an easy read, I highly recommend Brandon Sanderson's Tress of the Emerald Sea. So my second book, though, is if you want to read more books in 2026, this is a book that I've read since it came out, and it is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Now, this is a reread for me. This is probably like my fourth reread, and the reread that I had this year was actually through audio. So I had it on Audible, and so I listened to it on my commute to work, my commute back home, on my commute to the gym, jiu-jitsu, and that's how I reread this book. But this book came out at a time in COVID where I was struggling with identity in the workplace, with seeking validation through performance, through not being able to make ends meet, and just struggling to strive. I was just striving for more and more and more, and wanting to honestly work myself into oblivion, into a position that wasn't ever guaranteed or promised. And it led me to burnout. And so this book came at such a timely time in my life where I was able to take the truths of this and apply it to my life. And so if there's encouragement that I have for you, if you want to read more books in 2026, I want to highly encourage you to go back and reread books that have impacted your life. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis, I have it here, where he says, "It is a good rule, after reading a new book, never to allow yourself another new one until you've read an old one in between." Now, here's the funny thing is, when I first heard that quote, I thought he meant like go reread a book that you had already read. But that's not actually what he meant. He meant go read a book, like a classic that has stood the test of time. That's what he meant by an old book. But in my naivety, like I literally just meant, I thought he meant, okay, if I read a book, a new book, I should go back and reread a book that I haven't read in a while. And regardless of what he meant, but how I took it, that's been a practice of mine. I go back and reread books that have been impactful for me. And this book, this is probably like my fourth time reading this book. And every single time I get something new out of it. There's another quote, I don't know who it's by. I don't even know what the exact quote is, but it's just like this idea of somebody who steps into a river never steps into the same river twice, because one, the river is changing, but also like when you go and this is the river, this is the book that you're encountering, who I was in 2020 is far different than the person I am in 2026. And so when I come to the book, when I come to these ideas, when I come to these practices, I'm a different person and I'm engaging with the book entirely differently. And so again, I want to encourage you, you want to read more books in 2026, pick up a book that you've read in the past that has impacted your life and spend some time in it, because you're going to be different and you're going to take the truths of that book differently and apply it to your life differently. So But I do recommend this book. I love this book to death. If there's one book that I've recommended more than the Bible, sorry. Second to the Bible. Obviously I encourage people to read their Bible, but a book that's not the Bible, this has been my top recommendation for people. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry talks about that the greatest enemy of spiritual life today is hurry. And if we want to fight against this, then we must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from our lives. And he gives 4 simple practices: Sabbath, slowing, simplicity, and then silence and solitude. So highly encourage this book. Pick it up. You won't regret it. You won't regret John Mark Comer, Practicing the Way, Live No Lies. I'm right now currently reading through Garden City. So again, encourage you, pick up this book. Okay, my last recommendation for you guys is a book that I read because I was told to read it, but it's this book called Lead with Prayer. This is a book that we were required to read for our prayer and fasting retreat. So I'm on staff at a church, Fielder Church in Arlington, and as a staff, we go away once a year to pray and to fast and to meet with the Lord. And part of that is to read books like these so that way it can inform our time while we're away. And so with this book, Lead with Prayer, first of all, I just want to say, it has been so interesting to see the journey that the Lord has taken our church when it comes to prayer. God has really put it in our lead pastor, Jason, and then into our elders, to really emphasize to the staff and to the church at large that, hey, we don't want to just be known as a church that prays. We want to be a praying church. And so praying has to invade every single aspect that we do as a church. It is our joy, it's our delight to pray and to meet with the Lord. And so this book talks a lot about that. It's for leaders, it's informing leaders how to change not just yourself and your personal habits towards prayer, but how do you change the areas of ministry, your workplace, the place that you have influence over. How do you bring prayer into those spaces? And so for me, this book is just highly practical. And there's a few practices in this that I took and that I have applied into my life. And so just a few off the top of my head is 1, kneeling prayer. So literally in the morning when I first wake up, and then at night when I go to bed, I get on my knees and I pray. And I have an interesting story about it. When it was during the Lenten season, I was practicing this. It was the middle of the night. I realized that I fell asleep with my second son, and I woke up at midnight. I said, hey, I didn't kneel. So I went and knelt beside him. Didn't know that he woke up. But then he asked me, what are you doing, Daddy? And I said, hey, I'm praying. And instead of going back to bed, he knelt right beside me and he prayed with me. So listen, this stuff works. I'm just trying to apply what I'm reading in this book. And for some reason, it worked. Not just to see it in my son, to impart this, but it has in fact impacted me. Another thing is prayer alarms. So I can show you here, on my phone, I have alarms that are set. I don't know if you can see that, but they are with the times of days, but also what I'm going to be praying at that time. So I have at 7:14 a.m. and 7:14 p.m. I pray 2 Chronicles 7:14, which says, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves, pray and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear them from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. And so I spend time praying through that verse. At 12:01, right before lunch, I pray Romans 12:1 and 2. At 5:55 or at 5 o'clock, I pray for 5 people for 5 minutes at 5 o'clock. And so that's my prayer alarms that I took literally from this book in order to pray more. And then another one is I pray a specific prayer in the morning about, I just stole the idea again from one of the prayers in this book of offering myself unto God, like every single aspect, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth, all those things. Now, if you want to know more about this, I've written a Substack that you can check down below. And really it just shares a little bit more about how I've put this into practice in my life. Like some of the things literally from this book have changed the way that I pray because I simply applied it in my life. So another thing that I want to encourage you in, you want to read more books in 2026, pick a book, or maybe you're like me and the book was forced upon you, but that's besides the point. Pick a book that is highly applicable to your life. Maybe you have skimmed it and there's some practices that you want to put in your life. Go pick up that book, read about it, and apply it in your life. Because that's really what this book has been for me. So again, if you want to read more books in 2026, pick up a book that you've read before that has impacted your life. Go read it again. Pick a book that interests you, that is fun, that just lets you turn the pages, get in the habit of reading. Pick up that book. And if you just need a book that really speaks to your season of life, that's going to impact you, that you can apply it today, go pick up that book. Now, before I end this video, I do want to say that for me, books have meanings. They have nuggets, gold nuggets that I want to take and apply in my life. And the way that I digest those things is I do it through a pocket notebook. So I use it to brainstorm those ideas, to flesh out my thoughts about the things that I'm wrestling with from those books. And if you want to know more about what that looks like how I use my pocket notebook to explore these ideas and to brainstorm, you can go ahead and check out the video right here, and I'll see you over there.